Okay. So I even told you that when we are defining the orbits, it is the orbital parameters that help us to define the orbit. And there are 6 orbital parameters: A, E, I. That is, A is semi-major axis, E is the eccentricity, I is the inclination of the orbit, omega is argument of perigee, A, E, I, omega, ran, that is right accession of the ascending node, and finally the mean anomaly. These are the 6 parameters that define the orbit for a particular satellite. Okay, so is the point clear? So what we are talking about right now is the altitude, eccentricity, that is the shape, the inclination of the orbit, the argument of perigee, the right accession of ascending nodes, and the mean anomaly will help us to define, and they also help us to actually categorize our orbits as per that. Now, before we go today, have you read the recent news that
India's Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO has successfully tested its indigenously developed Hypersonic Technology Demonstrator Vehicle or HSTDV. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh tweeted the DRDO has today successfully flight tested the Hypersonic Technology Demonstrator Vehicle using the indigenously developed Scramjet propulsion system. With this success, all critical technologies are now established to progress to the next phase. The unmanned Scramjet demonstration aircraft is capable of cruising at Mach 6 speed while carrying long-range and hypersonic cruise missiles. Its biggest selling point is that it can be used for launching satellites at a low cost. The success of the HSTDV will also help India's bring BrahMos 2 to life, which is currently under development with the DRDO. This is another big achievement of Indian technological and missile sector. Today it is more significant because of current India-China standoff situation.
correct. So Mission Mars, what they have used was PSLV for launching our satellite to Mars, right? Now, now there is one more. Basically, what is happening is now everyone is looking at the satellites being placed at a lower altitude, so that actually what happens is you can place smaller satellites at the lower altitude, and they can be actually helping you for getting some specific data and some specific information. All of us are aware there is not something new, that is a nano satellites, which are of a dimension of nothing but a simple cube, right? So that cube size satellites can be launched, and they will be for a specific purpose for a certain amount of point. Because actually what is happening is the satellite mission, what happens is the major cost goes into making the satellite and also launching it at the altitude. So the higher the altitude, the more fuel is required, the larger is the cost for launching it, and larger is the weight, definitely the larger fuel. So that has actually increased the cost. Now we are looking at a technology which will have a low cost, because satellite has become a every day and everyone is using it. So they have defined, and it helps us to give us lot of information with regard to any specific parameter that we want to measure. And therefore there is lot of development that is going on in satellite communication and satellite technology. So this HSDT hypersonic device, that missile that was launched, has also will help us to launch our satellites at low earth orbits. So basically the satellite orbits, the altitude of a satellite orbits help us.
Hello.
Yeah.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
What do you mean by low altitude? Like currently
Yeah,
it's
I'll come to that. I'll
20,400
come to that.
kilometers.
I'll come to that, Smriti. Let me come to the next slide. I'll come to that. Definitely that is a part of your syllabus. So classification, I'm just using the word because that has used the word launching the satellite. So low Earth orbit, LEO orbits. So that is the classification of a satellite as per the altitude. So when we place our satellite at say 36,000 kilometer from the surface of the earth, we call it as geostationary satellite. And when it is at an altitude of around 18,000 kilometer from the surface of the earth, it is medium earth orbit. And when it is around 900 kilometers to 1000 kilometers from the surface of the earth, that we call it as low earth orbits. Okay, so what is an orbit? I have already defined. An orbit is a regular repeating path that one object in a space takes around another. So that is Earth is actually your primary body, because the satellite is an artificial device which is revolving around the Earth. And am I audible? Am I audible? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what is an orbit? I said it is a path which is defined by balancing of the forces. One is the gravitational pull and the other is the velocity that a satellite is holding. And this, because of this, it is continuously revolving around the earth and giving us the information, maybe whatever sensors we have placed on a
Now
satellite.
voice is breaking.
Yeah. Actually, my internet is showing strong, but I don't know what is happening. I got dropped also. Just let me check.
Yes,
Is it
ma'am.
clear
Voice is
now?
breaking.
Is it clear now? We are looking at continuous revolving around the earth by a satellite, and that is nothing but a regular repeating path. Now the trajectory or the flight path is the path that moves the object, follows through the space as a function of time, because the time period is very important. Say you yourself can tell me that when I place a satellite at a low earth orbit, that is at an altitude of say 900 to 1000 kilometers, and if I place it at say 18,000 kilometer from the surface of the earth, or at 36,000 from the surface of the earth, which one will take more time to complete its one revolution around the earth? Will it be at 1000 or will it be at 36,000? Which particular orbit at an altitude, whether it is like LEO or GEO, that is low Earth orbit or geostationary orbit, which one will take more time to complete its one revolution around the Earth?
The higher altitude.
Exactly. The higher altitude means a larger path that the satellite has to take, because it is the orbital path is defined by the dimensions. So larger is the path that the satellite has to take. It is at a larger altitude. Basically, it is your A, right? It is your semi-major axis of your orbit that will decide as how much time you will take to complete its one revolution. So basically we classify the satellite. That is very important before we go forward. Is there are circular orbits and elliptical orbits. So what is a circular orbit? Definitely it is as per the shape that you define the orbit. That is, the earth is at the center and the satellite is revolving around it, and the distance between the satellite and the earth is always uniform. That is a circular orbit. Now the second one is elliptical orbit. That is when the shape of the orbit is an ellipse and earth is at one of its focus, right? So what is happening is the distance between the satellite revolving around the earth is not uniform, right? So this is a case when it is uniform and the circle with earth at the center, and the second is an elliptical orbit when earth is at one of the foci. So that is just depending upon the shape, right? It is a classification depending upon the shape of an orbit that we do. The next is the orbit around the earth in different planes. That is, suppose my plane means what is the orientation, right? What is an inclination? This is my earth, right? And if my if my orbit, this is my equatorial plane, right? This is my equatorial plane, that is a plane with a 0 degree of inclination. That is called as an equatorial plane or a equatorial orbit above, it's on the equator, that is with 0 degree inclination. Now suppose this orbit has an inclination of 90 degrees. 90 degree, that is, it is perpendicular to the equatorial plane. We call it as a polar orbit. And the other orbits which are at, say, some other inclination, that is between your,
It was audible, ma'am. In the types of orbit.
yeah, यहाँ तक हो गया ना अपना? Okay, ठीक है.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just again, yeah. So what I was talking about was a classification depending upon the inclination, and I said that we can have the inclination as either 0, that is when the inclination is 0, we call it as an equatorial orbit. When the inclination is 90 degree, that is this orbit where the inclination is 90 degree, we call it as a polar orbit. And for any other value of inclination between 0 and 90, we call it as inclined orbit. Okay, so I gave you an example of an inclined orbit. A famous inclined orbit is Molniya orbit. It's a Russian orbit, satellite which is launched in this Molniya orbit, which has an inclination of 63.5 degrees. And there is a specific reason why that inclination is set. We will come to know while doing the proof. But any other value of inclination, depending upon where do you want, which particular area of Earth you want to cover. Here also I want to tell you why there is a need of polar or inclined orbit when you have a geostationary orbit. I told you in the last class that when Intel placed its 3 satellites on the at an equatorial on the equatorial plane at Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean and Pacific Ocean, and was trying to cover the whole of the Earth. But the problem with it was your orbital regions were not getting connected or were not in the coverage range of the satellites in the equatorial plane, and that actually required some other orbit which can help your satellite to communicate with these portions which were not getting covered by the satellites in the geostationary orbit. And therefore came the concept of inclined orbits and polar orbits. Previously, the first orbit that was defined or used for communication or commercial communication was the geostationary or the equatorial orbit only. That is an inclination 0. But they found that, as we proved in last class, that beyond 81.3 degrees latitude, you cannot actually communicate with the portion beyond this. And as you increase the inclination, elevation of the satellite, elevation of the antenna at the Earth station, this further gets reduced with the amount of elevation that you are providing, and therefore there was a need. So the question that may come to you is, what is the need of a polar or inclined orbit when you can establish a communication link by placing just 3 satellites in an equatorial plane? The answer to this is, the satellite in an equatorial plane can communicate only till the latitude maximum till 81.3 degrees north and 81.3 degrees south. But beyond that, we need some inclined orbit so that the satellite in this region can communicate with the Earth portion in this particular area which were not covered by the geostationary orbit. Okay. So now comes is the last and the most commonly used classification of the satellite depending upon the altitude, as I was saying, was when the altitude is 36,000 kilometers. When the altitude is around 36,000, we'll prove what is the value. 36,000 kilometer from the surface of the earth, it's a geostationary orbit. When it is around 18,000 kilometer from the surface of the earth, we call it as MEO. And when it is between 900 to 1,000 kilometers from the surface of the earth, we call it as LEO, or low earth orbits. So everywhere when we are talking about these orbit, again they have the same reason for coming into existence. Was geostationary orbits were not capable of communicating with the portion of the earth which was beyond 81.3 degrees, and therefore we needed some other orbits which could help us to communicate with those regions. And this MEO and LEO orbits again have different inclinations to help us communicate with any portion of the earth. Now geostationary satellites, they are in the geostationary orbit and are helping us to communicate. Medium earth orbits, we have the application, GPS application installed on MEO earth orbits. And low earth orbits, it is the weather forecasting satellites, because you want to capture the temperature and other parameters, the rain, the humidity and other parameters. That is more easily you can do it using your this yeah, using your low earth orbits, and therefore they were actually helping us to communicate. Now this is how you can see the orbital plane, like low earth, equatorial, it is along the equatorial plane, inclined at any other angle as I told you, and this is polar, which is at 90 degree with the equatorial plane. Now for low earth and polar orbits, there is one very important example that we use for weather forecasting and other surveillance, is a sun synchronous satellite. What is a sun synchronous? As the word suggests, it is synchronous with the sun timing, right? So what it does is, the sun synchronous satellite, the sun synchronous satellite in this orbit always have a uniform angle. The line joining the sun and the center of the earth, it always has a uniform angle with it. The advantage of this is that when the satellite is revolving around the earth in this particular orbit, it is actually capturing the temperature, the humidity and other parameters of that particular point on the earth at the same time. We call it as the same sunlight. Say if I normally what we see in the weather forecast is temperatures and other things are given with the time specified, say 5 a.m. in the morning, or when they say minimum and maximum, they know it's around midnight, it is minimum, and maximum at the 12 noon. So this weather satellite is actually giving you the time, local time of that particular place with respect to the sunlight, same time every day. And therefore they are used for this weather forecasting, because next day also they will be giving us the same values, and therefore it is important. That is how we compare. We say, now today it is hotter than yesterday. It should not be that I measure a temperature at today at 5 a.m. in the morning, and tomorrow I measure it at say 12 noon and say the temperature is more. No, we cannot say that. It has to be compared at the same time with the same sunlight. And therefore the sun synchronous, which are the polar orbit, the low earth orbits, they help us to actually measure the temperature and do the weather forecasting with the help of these satellites. And very important thing is, how do we maintain this angle uniform? The angle is maintained uniform because this orbit which you see is also revolving around the earth. It's not that once I fix the orbit, it is uniform and earth is revolving. and it is not changing its orientation. It has to keep its angle uniform with respect to the Earth, and therefore this orbit is also changing its orientation with respect. Can you see the line joining the sun has changed, and accordingly the orientation, it is actually changing its orientation at around 0.9856 per day. That is how it completes in 365 days. It completes one revolution around the Earth. Now you yourself can calculate and tell me how much, if this particular orbit has to complete its one revolution in 365 days, that is one revolution is how much? 360 degrees. Can you tell me how much degree this plane has to actually change its orientation every day to be able to have the same orientation with respect to sun, so that you are covering the Earth's surface in the same sunlight every day, so that you are giving us the comparative values every day. Just you can do this back of the envelope calculation. Take out your 9856 is the correct, because it is actually it is 364 days and 6 hours. So this is the exact number that it comes out to be. So everyone, are you understanding why it is 0.9856? It did not come randomly that we will fix this revolution of the orbit. It's satellite revolving in the orbital plane also changing its orientation. So you can understand the complexity and the mathematics involved in designing the orbits. It's easy to say 6 parameters define the orbit, but you need to actually be monitoring its inclination, its orientation, its balancing of energy, its repetitive revolution around the Earth, and the plane also changing its orientation with respect to the reference. That is how we came out with this number 0.9856 per day. In 365 days, it completes one revolution, that is 360 degrees. Okay, is the point clear? You are asked this definition, and I gave you an example of polar orbit. The lower polar orbits are the low Earth orbits. Inclined orbits is also a term used for the medium Earth orbits. Geostationary is used for the equatorial plane. I gave you two classifications. They are actually the overlap. So now the important thing as per your syllabus, they talk about this Geo, MEO and LEO. Molniya I told you. And the additional, the new orbital planes that have been identified, as I told you, that this missile, when I started to show you, it's important that you, how do you develop an interest in a subject is when you see the things going on in the subject. It's not what I was teaching, say 5 years back, I will be able to teach the same thing, because I have to correlate the content with what is going on latest, and then only I can develop the interest. And therefore we need to understand what is going on latest in the field. And when I say this missiles launching a satellite at low Earth, so what happens is when you are launching at low Earth, so what will be the impact on coverage area? Who will have a more coverage area? The low Earth orbit, the medium Earth orbit, or the geostationary orbit? Who will have the maximum coverage area and who will have the minimum coverage area? A larger coverage area, because it is basically the coverage area is defined by the tangents that it is able to form. And you can see in this case of LEO, the coverage area is very small, right? And therefore, to make a network, when you required only 3 satellites with a geostationary orbit, you require large number of satellites to complete. In the first chapter, they have given you an in application of ADM. ADM is a constellation of satellites where you have 11 orbits, 66 satellites for a global coverage of voice and data transmission. I had included that site screenshot also to tell you that it's not that we cannot have a 24 hours communication. Means 24 hours communication does not mean that the satellite should be in a geo orbit because it has got a large coverage area, it is stationary with respect to your observer on the earth. No, you can actually establish a 24 hours contact with wherever be the satellites, but the number of satellites required definitely increases with the reduction in the height, because the coverage area reduces. Okay, so this is just a brief idea. We'll go into the details of each. Molniya, I said it's an inclined orbit. So let us start with first is a geostationary orbit. So I have been actually from the first chapter itself, I have been talking about geostationary means a satellite at around 36,000 kilometers from the surface of the earth. That is, exact value is 35,786. Please remember this value. We'll go to this proof later on. Now what happens is, when you are at such a high altitude, how much time does the satellite take to complete its one revolution? The time taken by the satellite is same that the earth takes to complete its one revolution, that is 23 hours, 56 minutes and 4 seconds. The same is the time taken by the satellite. Now the advantage of this will be what? I said your position and the satellite, they are always having a continuous communication link, because there is no drifting. You are revolving the angular velocity. The point is not the linear velocity, the angular velocity of the satellite and the earth on its axis, it's the same. And therefore what is happening is, there is a continuous communication contact, a 24 hours communication contact between the satellite and the earth, and therefore you get a 24 hours coverage with the satellite in a geostationary orbit. Now, when I said the altitude decides the time period, the question that may come in your mind is, what should be the orientation of a geostationary? So there is another term called as geosynchronous. Geostationary and geosynchronous, they both have a 24 hours time required to complete its one revolution around the earth, right? But when I say geostationary, it has got a 0-degree inclination. But when I say geosynchronous, it can have any inclination, right? It can be, but the time period, geo word, when it comes, the time period is 24 hours it takes to complete its one revolution. But the problem is, as you change the inclination at geostationary, that is a 0-degree inclination, what is happening is you have the balancing of a forces in a different way compared to any other angular because the radiation, the closeness to the sun and other things keep on changing, and therefore they actually impact your performance of the satellite with respect to its inclination. So both are different, and geostationary satellite with a 0-degree inclination is called as a natural resource. Geostationary is called as a natural. Can I have any other satellite with 0-degree inclination with a time period of 24 hours to complete its one revolution around the earth? How many such orbits can we have? We can have only one such orbit. Only one geostationary orbit is there which has got a time period of 24 hours, inclination of 0 degrees, and therefore it is called as it is actually declared as a natural resource, so that everyone has got an equal right to launch their satellite in this particular orbit, which is also getting used up. And because all are placing the satellite, and the difference between the two satellites minimum is 2 degrees. As geostationary satellite, the relative motion between the earth and the earth station and the satellite is what? Is there any relative motion when I say both are revolving with the same angular velocity? Yes, yeah, what is happening is you don't have any relative motion. As I said, both are revolving with the same angular velocity, so their orientation with respect to each other is the same, and therefore when there is no relative motion, have you heard of Doppler effect? What is the Doppler effect? Can anyone tell me?
It's the shift in the lights, right? The shift in sound because of the train moving towards you.
Yes,
Shift in frequency.
yeah,
Yeah,
shift in
because like
frequency,
some
correct.
waves will reach you faster than the other.
Right. So what is happening is Doppler effect is because the change in the frequency received because of the relative motion between the source and the receiver, right? All of you agree to this? Yes. So Doppler effect is nothing but the relative change in the frequency received from the source if there is a relative motion between the source and the finally the receiver. And when you know that the two, the source as well as the receiving and the transmitting earth station, both are are aligned with each other, they are stationary with respect to each other, and therefore this word stationary has come. You experience no Doppler effect. That means the frequency that I transmit, the same frequency I'll be receiving because there is no relative motion. So can you understand the reduction in the complexity when you are actually receiving and transmitting the signal? Because you know, I have to track or I have to capture only this particular frequency for communication and the rest is noise. So that itself improves the quality of the signal transmitted and the transmission as well as the quality of the signal being received. Is it clear? So few points, important points about geostationary are, these are the satellite which are placed at around 33,586 altitude from the surface of the earth, with an inclination of 0° and a time period of 24 hours. And this because there is only one such orbit in the whole space, this orbit has been declared as a natural resource. The geostationary orbit, in the geostationary orbit, the satellite revolves at the same velocity, angular velocity, that of the earth, because of which the relative motion between the earth and the satellite is not there, and the impact of this is you experience no Doppler effect when communicating with the geostationary orbit. This is an advantage because it reduces the complexity of your system and the design, because there is no change in frequency being transmitted and received, and hence it is very helpful when you are establishing a 24 hours communication contact. Yeah, now I can recall. So disadvantage, the first being a long distance between the transmitter and the receiver. There is a delay, and when you are communicating with such a high altitude, the signal will definitely get absorbed when your signal is traveling from the earth station to the satellite. So you need to have big transmitters to transmit high amount of power, because the signal has to reach the satellite. The signal to noise ratio will deteriorate because the signal has to travel a long distance. So weak signal ho jayega aapko, and you need high power transmitters. Delay is the next problem. Then the third is you are not able to communicate with the polar regions. So what we need to do now is, if we have to overcome this, what we should have, or how we can overcome the disadvantages of a geostationary, not able to communicate with the polar regions, delays in the signal transmission and reception, and the signal strength. How it can be overcome? Inclination and what else? सिग्नल स्ट्रेंथ कब कम होगा? जब डिस्टेंस कम हो जाएगा. तो ऑल्टीट्यूड रिड्यूस. टाइम कब कम होगा? जब डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल कम होगा. कब कम होगा? व्हेन यू हैव अ रिडक्शन इन द ऑल्टीट्यूड, राइट? So all these disadvantages of geostationary can be overcome if we have a satellite at a lower altitude. So that is why your Leo and MEO came into existence. So Leo was what? It is much closer to the Earth than the Geo, because it is at what altitude? I told you it is around 500 to 1500 kilometers from the surface of the Earth. बट द डिसएडवांटेज क्या होगा इसका? मैंने क्या बोला था आपको? कवरेज एरिया बहुत कम है. So what happens is you can actually see the satellite only for 15 to 20 minutes, irrespective of geostationary which was visible to you for 24 hours. यहाँ पे अगर आप कम्युनिकेट कर रहे हैं एक सैटेलाइट से 15 से 20 मिनट से ऊपर आप उससे कम्युनिकेट नहीं कर सकते. आफ्टर दैट व्हाट हैपेंस इज इट मूव्स आउट ऑफ योर limit of visibility, and therefore you are no more communicating, and therefore for the next time what it has to do is you need to communicate with the another satellite, which there should be a handshake, and that is where the complexity comes into existence. Geo had the minimum complexity, but Leos have the maximum complexity. Although your signal strength is high, the delays in the time is low, launching cost is less as compared to Geo, because you are, so that is why I am telling you कि जब उसका coverage area नहीं था तो मुझे low earth पे था, high power चाहिए उसको transmit करने के लिए, delays चाहिए, cost है, large cost is involved in launching it. All that definitely gets overcome by Leo. But the major advantage क्या हो, disadvantage क्या हो गया? You have a communication contact only for 15 to 20 minutes. So for having a 24 hours contact, you need to have what? Right? Please understand, 24 hours माने आपको कितनी सैटेलाइट चाहिए? एक दिन में 24 into 60 minutes होते हैं. So you need that many satellites to be actually coming and having a continuous communication with you to have a 24 hours. And therefore, although you had the advantage of all this, that you were getting a small time to launch it, low cost to launch it, and small power actually required to reach the satellite, but you also had a disadvantage of small contact time, and that was leading to the complexity. And one more advantage was since the satellite was at a very low altitude, the time taken for the signal to travel to the satellite and back to the Earth station was very less. So time delays जो Geo का problem था, that are also removed, and they have a small coverage area and a less wastage of bandwidth. This point I just want to explain by what do I mean by the wastage of bandwidth. See, if this is my Earth, this is my Geo, this is my Geo orbit, and I'll take one more orbit, that is a Leo, which is at a very small high. So this is my Leo orbit. I'll just change the color. Now, when I say, what do I mean basically with the wastage in bandwidth is, you just see what happens is when you have a large coverage area, right? And a small coverage area. What is happening is large coverage area does not allow you the frequency reuse. Whereas the lower coverage area, actually you can have the cells and you can have the multiple frequencies being used to actually have a communication contact. And therefore, what is happening is where you frequency reuse, this large coverage area does not allow you the frequency reuse, but you can actually have a frequency reuse in the small coverage area, and therefore the wastage of bandwidth which may occur because I cannot actually reuse the frequency in this particular coverage area, but here I can reuse it and therefore I can have less wastage of bandwidth. Is the point clear? basically you must be aware of the cell concept. You have one frequency allocated for each cell, right? One frequency here, one frequency here, and one frequency, one frequency. But if this whole area is coming under one satellite, I cannot have a frequency reuse and I have to allocate the whole bandwidth to all the users in that particular area, and therefore there is lot of wastage. But when I have a satellite which is only covering this much area, what is happening is I can again use the same frequency when I come to this area, and therefore not a new bandwidth is required. And therefore, so Dhruvik was asking whether all the orbits are circular. No, all the orbits are not circular. The orbits can have the different shapes. So the disadvantage of a LEO network is the network of a LEO satellite is needed, which can be costly. As I told you, you cannot have a 24 hours communication with just one LEO satellite as you could have with the GEO, and therefore you need a full network, a handshake and everything, so that you can have a 24 hours contact or a communication, and that can be costly. The LEO satellite have to compensate for the Doppler effect. Now, can you tell me why this Doppler effect comes here, which was not there for a geostationary satellite? Is in a LEO satellite, you have a relative motion between the satellite and the Earth station, and therefore, what is happening is there is a relative motion between the satellite and the Earth station, and because of which you have a different frequency being received and what is being transmitted. They are not the same, and there is a change in frequency being received, and therefore you experience a larger Doppler effect in the case of a LEO satellites as compared to geostationary, where we did not experience a Doppler effect. Now, another point is atmospheric drag effect in LEO satellite causing gradual orbital deterioration. Now, what is happening is when you are placing the satellite at a very high altitude, right? When you are placing the satellite at a very high altitude, the pull of the Earth is very small as compared to when you are placing it in a low Earth orbit. And therefore, there is always a pull by the Earth which will try to deform your orbital parameters, and this results in change in the 6 parameters of the orbit, that is especially the A, E, I, omega, RAN, and your mean anomaly. And therefore, it is the atmospheric effects that are actually impacting your LEO orbits, and therefore you need to actually take lot of mathematical calculations into consideration when designing a LEO orbit, because a gravitational pull is strong on a LEO Earth orbit. So that is what is a function of a control segment, जो continuously track करता है orbital parameters को, and then whenever it observes that there is a change in the orbital parameters, according to what should be the actual location, वो एक energy thrust, एक energy छोटा सा एक rocket जैसे छोड़ते ताकि आपकी satellite opposite direction में move हो, and then the satellite acquires its exact position. So what happens is it attains its exact position once you provide it a kind of a push, thrust देना, एक धक्का देना, ताकि वो अपनी वो कैसे देते हैं, एक थ्रस्टर, एक छोटे छोटे रॉकेट्स होते हैं जो उसको एग्जैक्ट पोजीशन पे, आप लोगों ने इसमें देखा होगा ना मिशन मंगल में जो थ्रस्ट ऑन करते थे, वो थोड़ा सा उसको एनर्जी देते थे और वो अपना पाथ चेंज करता था ना, करेक्ट? तो वही करते हैं हम लोग, वही करते हैं, करेक्ट? जब भी पता चलता है वो राइट पाथ पे नहीं है, उसको थोड़ा सा एनर्जी देते और फिर वो एनर्जी को बंद कर देते हैं.